Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Game Changer. I'm Maryam Zia. In today's program, we will delve into the ongoing high-level delegation visit of Saudi Arabia to Pakistan, which is being led by Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan bin Abdullah. And of course, we know that this visit comes in the backdrop of the recent meeting between Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and, of course, Crown Prince Mohammad bin Salman in Makkah, in which both leaders agreed to fast-track the bilateral economic initiatives between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Of course, in this important visit, both countries will be talking about different initiatives, especially about bringing in investments from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan. And also, of course, key ministries, officials are included in this important delegation, as well as some important members of course, Saudi private sector, which are going to be looking for investments in different sectors in Pakistan. But in the backdrop of the recent developments in Middle East, of course, the geopolitical dimensions of the bilateral ties will also come under discussion. In today's program, we will be talking about the evolving ties between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Of course, we know that both countries signed a Treaty of Friendship in 1951, and since then, there are a number of sectors in which both countries have been collaborating. And now, in the backdrop of this recent meeting between Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Crown Prince Mohammad bin Salman, of course, this visit is important. How this is going to be playing out in regards to the economic ties between both the countries, what should be our expectations, and what are some of the other areas in which both countries can collaborate, specifically in when we talk about the recent developments in Middle East. To discuss this and more, we are joined in the studios by Mr. Shaaf Najib, who is economist. Welcome to the program. We're also joined by former Ambassador Jauhar Saleem, who is also former Foreign Secretary and President, Institute of Regional Studies. Welcome to the program. And we are joined online by Mohammad Zohaib, who is Director, Pak Saudia Business Council of Federation of Pakistan, Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Welcome to the program. Ambassador Saab, let me start with you. In your opinion, how important is this recent visit? Of course, this is a high-level delegation visit in which almost 100 members many important ministries and key officials are included in this delegation. How do you see this visit, specifically in the recent global as well as regional development?
Yes, thank you. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia enjoy long-standing fraternal ties, and they have multi-dimensional cooperation, economic cooperation, where the two countries have a trade of over $5–6 billion, primarily imports from Saudi Arabia. Then again, there are about 2.8 million Pakistanis in Saudi Arabia. That's the biggest diaspora we have in the world. Thirdly, Saudi Arabia is the biggest source of remittances for Pakistan in the world. That is about $6 billion a year. And then the fact that the two countries, they have shared aspirations, they have shared perceptions, shared ideals, and a great deal of cooperation within the OIC, within the international fora. It's a very close and a very important partnership for Pakistan. This visit takes place in the backdrop of Prime Minister's meeting to Saudi Arabia, where he had some very important meetings, including with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And in the follow-up of that meeting, then it was decided to send this delegation. This is a high-level delegation headed by the Saudi Foreign Minister, but it also includes the Minister for Water and Agriculture. It also includes the Minister for Mining and Industry and the Deputy Minister for Investment, which clearly suggests that the focus of this particular visit, beside discussion on geopolitics, and this is naturally happening at a very critical time when there's already a crisis brewing in the Middle East, what Israelis are doing in Gaza. On top of that, the recent confrontation between Iran and Israel, which has really alarmed a lot of countries in the region and beyond that. And there's a great deal of important Muslim countries joining the endeavors to de-escalate the situation. And Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are two of the leading Muslim countries in the world. So that is one side of it. The other side is the economic cooperation. And there, with this large delegation, they have come to implement the understanding that has been arrived between the two countries at the top level, between the Prime Minister and the Crown Prince. There's a talk of the $5 billion worth of Saudi investment coming.
We are, of course, listening to different figures. Somewhere it is $5 billion, elsewhere it is $7 billion. Yeah. So we might not have agreed on a figure at this point in time.
I think this is just a starting figure because what we know is that overall, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and some other Gulf countries, together we are envisaging an investment of tens of billions of dollars in the coming years.
Right.
But this is like the inception of that. And the projects that we know where the Saudis are particularly interested are Reko Diq, for instance. There's a figure of $1 billion worth of investment in that, in mining.
Of course, we will be talking about that as well. But let me bring in Mr. Shaaf in discussion. What do you make of this significant visit at this point in time? And also, can you tell us about these key sectors in which both countries are looking to cooperate in? Specifically, when we talk about SIFC, and of course, Pakistan is looking towards Gulf countries and specifically towards Saudi Arabia for bringing it investments.
Well, you see, as Mr. Ambassador also pointed out, that Pakistan and Saudi have a very historical relations, right? We have, I think, over since the early independence of Pakistan, Saudi has been a very close friend, close ally of Pakistan, and they have helped us not just in you could say geopolitical issues, but also on the economic front as well, right? And in the recent years, especially the different rollovers that they have given us for our different loans, the oil payment deferment and all, keeping in view the difficulties that Pakistan had been facing, have been some very essential steps in helping Pakistan stabilize itself during economic crisis. But from Pakistan's perspective, we now need to look forward from gaining help from our allies, including Saudi Arabia, and we now need to step towards you could say mutual cooperation, mutual trade, and I think this visit could start one wave of that. But Saudi Arabia over the last few decades has been trying to do that within Pakistan again and again with different governments as well. We need to also focus on creating an enabling environment for our domestic investors. Because you see, when a foreign investor, be it from Saudi Arabia, be it from any other country, whenever they try to invest within a country, they do not manage to be involved in all the sectors. They are involved only in very limited areas. The rest areas have to be managed by the local businesses, by the local investors.
And we have to create a conducive environment for foreign as well as for domestic investors to come in and invest in different sectors. But like Mr. Shaaf alluded to, the bottlenecks in, of course, different sectors and bureaucratic hurdles. So, Mr. Zohaib, can you tell us about some of the bottlenecks that, of course, both countries have experienced in the past, and what steps are now needed or both governments are going to be taken specifically at the end of Pakistani government to create that conducive environment for Saudi investments to come in? And also tell us more about this 5 billion figure that Ambassador Saab also alluded to, and of course which was under discussion in the recent meeting between Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Crown Prince Mohammad bin Salman.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to, mention here that we all need to understand that the Vision 2030 by Crown Prince, when they started this journey, and in Vision 2030 there are multiple projects and multiple organizations involved in that, like PIF, MISA, and other organization. At Pakistan level, what I believe that like my colleague said just before my talk, that the continuity of the policy and the facilitation environment is the need of the time. And let me share the example that in October 2023 we went to Saudi Arabia under SIFC delegation. Our federal IT minister at that time was there also, and the way all the investors, like in Saudi or any other country, the continuity and consistency policies are required, and where this is the area where SIFC has taken, the state has taken the responsibility to do that. Because of that, trust me, after that delegation, and recently we came back from one of the biggest IT exhibition, Leap, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Our tech sector received a lot of business opportunities, and many companies has set up their offices and started setting their offices in Saudi. And if you take a recent announcement by the Saudi Arabia, uh, I believe 35 to 40 billion dollar investment in semiconductor and artificial intelligence. So these are the opportunities where Pakistan can take some share. And we at our level at Pasha, collaborating with the Ministry of IT and Telecom, working closely, and after the successful visit of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the recent visit, and we are hearing that another delegation is expecting related to the investors in Pakistan. These type of engagement, I think we can have our share to do that. And I tell you one more thing from the Saudi side, they also feel that we it's a combination of win-win situation for the both countries. If you remember historical, since 50 60, since last 50 60 years, we have sent our resources like drivers and other blue collar, but now it's a
Right.
time we should prepare our tech resources to be ready to be in Saudi Arabia.
And
They
send
can
skilled
contribute in the
workers, of
economic.
course.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. But I want you to shed some light on the preferential trade agreement that was, of course, signed between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia back in 2018, and how it impacted, of course, the bilateral and strengthened economic ties between both the countries. And still, what are some of the bureaucratic hurdles or bottlenecks that needs to be addressed?
You are right. This is actually, this is the problem. We sign multiple agreements, we sign multiple MOUs, but executions is the key important thing. For example, FTA, if you are talking about the MOU signed between the Saudi IT minister and the Pakistan IT minister, and this FTA between the Ministry of Commerce, I believe, execution of these and implementation of these are very key important. And I believe that here the role of the bureaucracy hurdle. I tell you one example that we as an industry association, we are keep telling our ministry that we must have a dedicated consultant who can prepare a comprehensive G2G proposal, G2G plans, strategic plans to in collaboration with the Saudi government and the investment which is coming to Pakistan in the different sector. And I believe SIFC is doing very well in this area. And I believe the future digital transformation within the government is also the part of this ecosystem right now. Once the digital transformation in place, the transparency in place, the execution of such agreement and MOU will be in place, inshallah.
Right. So let me move to Ambassador Saab. Ambassador Saab, when we talk about, of course, Saudi investments coming in, a lot of interest has been shown by Saudi Arabia in Recodic project. So can you tell us how this aligns with Pakistan's own economic goals? And also, of course, one of the key sectors that is to be focused on in SIFC is minerals and mines. So can you tell us how all this is going to be playing out, and how this is going to be, of course, of benefit to the local community in Balochistan?
Yeah, the Saudis are very keen. I was part of the delegation when Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif visited Saudi in 2022. And I was there in the meetings with the Crown Prince as well. And I've seen that they're serious, they're very keen. They have identified the areas, and that is why what we see in this delegation, all the ministers which are there, it's very clear that they, the particular interest that they have, and the presence of Minister for Mining and Industry suggests that this is one of the key areas where the Saudi interest is focused. Now, in Reko is a project Pakistan has. It's estimated that there's a mineral wealth of perhaps trillions of dollars in Pakistan, which mostly remains unexplored. And Reko is a flagship project, copper and gold, and already like some headway has been made in terms of the feasibility studies and sort of they're moving forward. Saudis have like indicated, as per the media reports, that they could invest as much as $1 billion in this project at the inception of it. This would greatly contribute to, because mineral exploration is a very expensive sector, and you need a lot of investment, and that too in foreign exchange, because you need the heavy machinery, the expertise, and the Barrick Gold, the company which is already part of that project. They would be bringing some of that, but of course you need the third party investment as well, as much as you can get. Once that project comes into play in terms of like getting the copper and the gold in the market, that would mean billions of dollars. And because we have to remember that these mineral projects, because mineral exploration is one of those areas which have now been delegated to devolved to the provinces. So the province of Balochistan is going to have the maximum benefit from it, and that money already they are doing sort of just this morning I was part of a seminar where we had Chairman PMDC and many others sort of it was primarily focused on mineral exploration, and they mentioned the projects that they're doing for the well-being of the people around that area. But just imagine once the sort of the copper starts getting into the market and the money starts rolling, the resources that will be generated to build more roads there, more schools there, sort of and of course that would also promote the local industries, because you need a lot of subsidiary industries
and
when
it
you
would
have big
ultimately
projects.
lead to, of course, job creation and well-being and uplift of people in Balochistan and the local
Definitely.
communities. But let's talk about the opportunities that exist for Saudi investors to come in and invest in oil refineries sector, and what are some of the sectors in which Saudi investors are, of course, interested specifically in recent visit. What kind of developments are we foreseeing? And what kind of agreements we are to be seeing to be implemented in coming days?
Well, you see, I think something that the Saudis have recently realized, looking at other, you could say, Middle Eastern or Gulf countries, is that they cannot depend only on selling oil forever, right? Which is why in the last 1 decade, especially ever since MBS became their crown prince, we have seen a shift in their economic focus, where they have tried exploring more options, developing economically. And I believe that their recent interest in the last increased recent interest in Pakistan is also because of the potential that they see in Pakistan, because as I have always talked about this earlier as well, that Pakistan has a younger population, which is not just a younger population for today, it's a younger population for the next 30 years at least. And that means a market for the next 30 years. And that is a major potential for all foreign countries, foreign investors who are interested in Pakistan. But the question is not just about earning dollars from them, because, okay, let's say we earn maybe 1 billion, 5 billion, even $100 billion. But one day we are going to spend them, right? What we need really also along with that to learn from them is the technology transfer, the transfer of skills. And that is what I think is going to be very important in this, especially regarding the mining sector and the oil sector as well, because we need our industries or our businesses that are within these sectors are not as skilled as major global players, right? And that is an area where I believe that Pakistan can learn a lot from the Saudi experience, and that is where we should focus not just on the money that would be coming in, but we need also to
can you
focus
highlight
on
some of those sectors? Because when we talk about technology transfer, of course, Pakistan imparted technology as well as defense training to Saudi Arabia, and of course Pakistani forces also served in Saudi Arabia as well. But other than that, in your opinion, what are some of the sectors in which Pakistan can benefit from Saudi Arabia, specifically in regards to technical training? And of course now, as you already mentioned, that in alignment with the vision 2030 of Saudi Arabia, of course they are diversifying other than oil exports and imports. So can you tell us what are some of the sectors in which we can benefit?
Well, I think primarily one is the oil and gas sector and the exploration sector and overall the mining sector, because I think that's one area or one major area where Pakistan can learn a lot from Saudi Arabia, where our local companies can benefit in joint ventures, in collaborations with them, and I think that would also open up opportunities for them globally as well. So that is one area where we can gain. Secondly, Saudi Arabia has realized now that while they are diversifying their economic interests, that the earliest that they can learn is in the services sector, and that is why there has been a lot of focus on the IT sector as well. You know, the recent conference that Zohaib also mentioned about. So I think that is one sector where Pakistan, which has a large number of IT startups coming up. So I think, and there's a lot of need for, I think, fintech startups to also gain international exposure as well. So I think IT sector is one area as well where Pakistan has a great opportunity to learn from Saudi Arabia. But then again, as I said earlier as well, we need to look at our local problems. We need to look at the regulatory bottlenecks, or as we call it, the regulatory sludge, which actually kind of slows down the processes, makes doing business even for domestic investors not profitable.
Right,
and that
but,
is something
but do you think that SIFC is going to be addressing some of the key bottlenecks that we have been witnessing in the past?
Well, one can hope. You need to formulate an ecosystem where all these things develop. We have examples from countries like Malaysia, South Korea in our regions, Central Asian states who have done major reforms, and they have been able to reform their governing system, modernize it, and then benefit from that. And that is where I think Pakistan also has the opportunity. A new government now, it has the time where it can work up reforms, where it can deregulate and bring the regulations down to an adequate level,
Right.
so that businesses flourish in Pakistan and they can have greater collaboration in terms of financial as well as technical inclusion from our global partners.
Right, right. And coming back to, of course, Saudi investments in Pakistan, of course, we keep on hearing that, of course, a target of $20 billion has been set of enhancing the bilateral trade volume between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. So, Mr. Zohaib, can you tell us about some of the initiatives that are going to be taken in this regard and to reach this target?
All right. So I just want to mention here that, you know, the gold mine of Pakistan is the youth population, which is the more than around 60 to 63% under the age of 30. So when we are talking about the services sector of IT, we always calculate that 23,000 resources can generate up to $1 billion US export. So if you see the potential of Pakistan, and we are talking into 3 or 4 areas, like Saudi Park Tech Hub in Pakistan, joint collaboration with Saudi Arabia. We have already some delivery center and back offices, IT companies, offices in Pakistan, which is like front is Saudi companies. Third is in the AI and semiconductor, which is one of the major key area, because if you are talking about artificial intelligence or data processing, and also we need to understand that the Saudi export is also their focus, and we know our you know, sometime in I always mention that we are not here to sell to Saudi Arabia. Our focus should be, let's sell with Saudi Arabia, train people, establish center of excellence training together for Saudi and Pakistanis in Pakistan, because we are one of, in the region, we are the competitive country as compared to in the region in the IT sector. So I believe a lot of potential if we can establish a right people who needs in next 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years to the world, and establish this academy skill set. Also fund for the startup ecosystem, like Tech Accelerator in Pakistan with the Saudi support. So these 3 or 4 areas, and this gaming and animation sector is also very booming in Pakistan. And I believe we will come up with a great proposal to attract the Saudi investors and have the win-win situation for the both countries, inshallah.
Right, of course, a win-win situation for both the countries. But when we talk about challenges, other than, of course, the domestic challenges, we cannot forget the ongoing situation in Middle East. So, Ambassador Saab, do you think that is going to be having an impact on these, of course, bilateral engagements that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are having? And of course, initially this visit was bound to be discussing only the economic initiatives between both the countries, as discussed in the previous meeting between Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and MBS. But what kind of collaboration both the countries would be discussing, in your opinion, in light of recent geopolitical tensions?
Yeah, all such important visits between key partners, and Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are key partners, brotherly countries which have a long-standing record of cooperation in multiple avenues. So whenever you have such visits, the agenda is pretty broad-based. You get time for discussions for those issues as well, and there are issues which impact both the countries. What happens between Iran and Israel will have actually global implications. What is happening in Gaza is important for both Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. So you discuss that, in broad parameters, and in terms of how the two countries could contribute to the diplomacy, ongoing diplomacy, for de-escalation, for preempting any wide-scale violence there between the two, onslaught of hostilities between those two regional powers. But having stated that, the primary focus of this visit, as is very much evident from the composition of the delegation, is on building or further enhancing the economic cooperation.
Right. But Ambassador Saab, don't you think that, of course, the current geopolitical tensions can impact the economic relations or the initiatives that both countries are looking forward to?
Yeah, definitely. You see, there's always some impact. But these plans that the two countries are making, they're the short-term plans, the medium-term, long-term. And the vision is to build an economic partnership to a level, of, let's say, tens of billions of dollars. And it's not just the money itself, it's pooling of resources. Like what Saudis have is a lot of capital. They have expertise in specific areas such as oil exploration and oil production, where Aramco is the biggest company in the world. It's the largest company in the world. In many other areas, they're building expertise. There are best practices that they can share. On the other hand, in Pakistan, as it has been already mentioned, a young population. We have one of the largest IT literate populations in the world, an English-speaking population, which could really contribute to services sector. Then again, we have a lot of mineral resources which are there to be exploited. Again, we have fertile lands in Pakistan, irrigable lands, which is something where mechanized farming can take place. And we see the agriculture minister is there. There could be joint projects there. Then again, in the high-tech area, Saudis are particularly interested because the fields, as have been mentioned, artificial intelligence, this chip manufacturing, and then within the fintechs. So these are all possible areas where the two countries can build mutually beneficial partnerships.
Of course.
And that is what this visit is all about. When you have so many officials, so what they do is, first of all, you have the political level meetings where broad perimeters are set. And then you have technical level meetings where the experts from both sides, they meet and they discuss specific ideas and specific projects. And then you build on that, And in Pakistan, yes, in the past we've had those bureaucratic bottlenecks.
Of course.
But this, SIFC mechanism, it's a very useful mechanism which has been specifically built to attract FDI globally, but particularly from this
from
region.
The Gulf, of course.
From the Gulf. So that is there, and that is why I think that this is a very useful visit, which could be a harbinger of a much bigger economic cooperation between the two countries than what we have seen so far.
Right, and Mr. Shaaf, when we talk about economic cooperation between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, in the past we have witnessed that, of course, the trade balance has been in favor of Saudi Arabia. So what measures are needed to be taken to, of course, balance, to achieve that balance of trade? And also, of course, Pakistan is also looking to diversify its economy from the traditional sectors and moving towards other sectors like digital economy. What kind of agreements are you anticipating after this visit?
I think all those are areas where we could hopefully see some agreements and hopefully see some targets being set about what you could say, what areas are we going to focus on, and then what context are we going to do about how what areas maybe Saudi Arabia could be investing directly within Pakistan, and in what areas could Saudi Arabia maybe collaborating with the local businesses for Pakistan. But it's a good opportunity if we take benefit of this opportunity, and I think that's what all eyes are going to be on, whether we are able to capitalize on this opportunity or not.
Of course, and there is a lot of anticipation when we talk about this high-level delegation visit from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan. Lastly, Mr. Zohaib, can you tell us about some of the key agreements that Pakistan is expecting and how this is going to be impacting Pakistan's economic development, and what sectors are we are going to be focusing on?
Yeah, I believe, with sincere intention, inshallah, and attractive, doable investment projects and proposals, ideally, create an impact in this collaboration. And we all need to see all the relevant ministries working, especially on the side of the Vision 2030. There are multiple projects, multiple areas in which we are, and I believe it is already creating the impact. By last, our delegation will visit, and inshallah, by this great success, there will be a positive move and positive journey, inshallah, to the next level between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, inshallah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammad Zohaib Khan, Chairman Pakistan Software Houses Association, for joining us in today's program and for your valuable input. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammad Shaaf Najib, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Mr. Jauhar Saleem, for joining us in today's program. Of course, as we conclude today's discussion on this high-level visit of Saudi Arabia to Pakistan, it is apparent and it is clear that Pakistan's evolving ties with Saudi Arabia extend beyond the mere formalities and mere diplomatic formalities between both the countries. And of course, both countries are striving to enhance and strengthen bilateral ties beyond economic cooperation and with a shared vision of prosperity for the region and beyond. That's all from Game Changer tonight. Take care. Allah Hafiz.